Well, institutions are used to call people in and try having people inside the institution so that they can listen to them. The idea of social networking sites and the new movement is just the opposite. It's that institutions can go outside, can go to the street or to the virtual streets and listen to people, to what's going on in there. The big change is from what is official or what is institutional to what is unofficial or it's informal. Institutions should learn where people meet, where people gather, how people speak in very informal ways and sometimes even in very unorganized ways. But it's very useful. People are really participating, people are really engaging outside of the official places, and this is how can be enriched policymaking, by listening to them in new places and with new actors. The good thing about online organization is that it's very easy, it's very cheap, and people can gather around very easily. Another good thing is that more actors can go in and have their voices said. So for knowing what's going on, for making a diagnosis of problems or civic needs, social networking sites and these informal spaces are very good. Another thing comes when it comes to deliberation. Deliberation, it's much more difficult, needs some facilitation, needs some resources, and especially then when it comes to decision making, it's even more difficult. So this is where institutions can have a very strong impact and can bring their knowledge, which on the one hand is what is the context, what's happening outside of your personal needs, how are your needs connected to other people's needs. So this context and the facilitation, bringing human resources or material resources, including money or physical spaces, things like that, so that the deliberation can happen in informed and organized ways, not only anarchic or chaotic. That's another thing that institutions can bring into this kind of deliberation. So again, the first thing is context, which is very important, not only information, but the context. And the second thing is organization. Just help these unorganized or chaotic ways of engaging, having some goals, some methodologies, and some outcomes. Well, the thing about how social networking sites or social media in general are helping or damaging the debate or dialogue, it's a very interesting one. On the first hand, they contribute to more people coming in, more people gathering, everyone having their say on an equal basis. Horizontality is one of the best assets of social media. But the drawback or the main barriers that we have are three. One is that you have to master the technology. So if you have a digital divide or you have some issues accessing technology, you may have some bias. The second thing is not only technology, but the information, how you manage information, how you make sense of information, how you deal with the intoxication because there are too much information. And the third thing is how you make sense of the whole thing, how you achieve your own goals with these new methodologies, these new technologies, and this new kind of information. So yes, the good thing is that more people can gather, more people can have a voice, but the bad thing is that it's a new media, we have to learn how to deal with it, we have to regulate it, even if it's formally with laws or informally with new ethos or new ethics around it. What institutions can do is absolutely make sense of this sort of chaos, so contribute with regulation, again, formal or informal, contribute with training, contribute with the access to technology, and trying to separate the actives or the signal from the noise. This is something that institutions should be able to be doing, should be able to do, and should be very capable of doing. The ideal would be that the administration and citizens have never been torn apart, and that each one would approach each other one. That means that youth should be comfortable with approaching the administration, and the administration should have been listening to everyone, especially youth, always. So there's no chicken or egg. Everything should happen at the same time. But the reality now is that most people, not only young people, but especially young people, do not trust the governments because of many reasons, do not think that they are effective, do not think they are listening to their needs, do not think that they even understand what's going on. They feel different, they behave differently, and institutions just don't get it. So that's the situation right now. So there's no way that trying to convince young people to approach institutions, that's not going to happen. This is not going to happen at all. It might happen in some very specific cases if they are channeled through some youth associations or some parties that they are they're nearer to the youth. But trying to approach the youth because calling them to come institutions, that will not happen. So the chicken or egg thing is about the chicken. It's about the administration approaching youth people, approaching them where they gather in their own lingo, in their own way of behaving, in their own ethics, in their own forms, in the places that they gather and speak each other and engage. To me, that's the main thing or the main issue the administration should be doing. Try to understand who is proposing what, where do the people meet, why they meet in these places, why their needs are this and these not other ones, why people behave differently or communicate differently or engage differently. Try to understand how youth are thinking and approach them. Not trying to change their thinking, but approaching where they are. I think that social media is very good for that, as it is a big opportunity so that administrations can open up and approach citizens where they are, instead of calling them to go to the city council or go to the parliament or the Congress and trying to put them through this funnel of institutionalization. I think there are some new intermediaries between institutions and people. It's not anymore, or at least not only political parties and NGOs and labor unions, but there are some other networks that are facilitated by some civic organizations, which many times are not even institutionalized. They're just gatherings of people. There are some distributed leaders that come up with an idea and gather some momentum, and they succeed in gathering people around them, or at least not around them, but around their idea, their project. So yes, there are these new intermediaries, but they are really focused on get some things done, not get some institutions done or created. They just get some problems solved. The good thing is that these problems usually are networked, are connected one with each other, so that people can hop around and the momentum can be increasing. These are new kind of para institutions, and the real institutions, they behave like institutions on the outside. They have spokesmen, they have goals, they have some resources, they have some connections, some agenda, but on the inside they usually do not behave the way that the political party would behave, just like with a strong leader and a strong organization and a strong hierarchy. It's really distributed power, it's really disallocated power. It's just people coming in and out. You can participate a lot or can participate a little bit, and everything will join up the big thing. So yes, there are these new things, there are these para institutions, these new networks of people, and you really need new ways to approach these networks. It's not because you don't have a single spokesman. Sometimes leaderships change because they are distributed. And institutions do have to learn what these new intermediaries are, how do they emerge, and how do they dissipate in other different leaderships, and try to reshape their own protocols to engage with these kind of intermediators. The good thing about the administration, the way that it is designed now, with strong hierarchies and strong devices for guaranteeing that everyone is treated equally, etc., has made that you really can represent people, and you can really make decisions representing more or less a majority of people that elected you. The bad thing about this is that if you are not inside this strong and closed system, you're not listened to, and you don't get to have your things put on the agenda. So the big challenge and the big opportunity at the same time of the administration is how to informalize all these protocols, or at least how to bridge what is happening at the informal level with the formal level. So there are new places where the administration can gather and connect with people and with the citizens, and it is at these very informal levels, very local levels, very sectorial levels that usually don't get into mainstream politics because they are on the margins of the institutions, or usually actually outside of institutions. So institutions have this challenge and opportunity to open up, not only go through the chain that begins with the labor union or the political party and goes to the parliament and the Congress and all the institutional levels on to the government, but try to reach out these other places that are informal but are very organized, even in new ways, but they are organized. They do have people working in there, doing things, getting things done. I think that these new informal places that I think that the administration can reach are the best place to start with. And the best way to start uninformalizing this is by letting individuals inside the organization, that means politicians or means officers at the administration, to be able to participate on individual basis in these informal places, so that a given politician does not go there in representing the administration, but just being part of it, being part of the network, bringing his own resources that come from the administration, of course, but just being another member, another node of this huge network. And I think these new formal places that work as network, where you can join personally, not institutionally, are the best place to begin with. Usually we think about the public sphere as like two big spheres actually. One is what happens at the government and at the parliament, the representative and executive powers, and the other one is what happens at the media sphere. They're talking to each other and they both explain to the citizens what is going on. I think that there's a new sphere, at least can be thought as a new sphere, as a fifth power, which is what is happening at social media and these informal places. It looks like a chaotic sphere, not much like the media sphere, which is much more vertical, and more especially what happens at the representative powers, which is even more hierarchical and more vertical. What's happening at the media level is very horizontal and very fragmented. There are things happening in one social networking site and things happening very differently in another social networking site. So you do have these several places, these several ecosystem or information ecosystem that are tied to each other, but they just talking about just different tiny parts of reality. I think that the new global sphere is these three parts: what's happening at the institution, what's happening at the traditional media, and what's happening at this atomization of several platforms, digital platforms that create this transmedia ecosystem of information, of deliberation, of engagement. So I think that making the connection between the three is crucial if we do want to keep having a connected, and in the sense of politically connected, citizenship. If we are not able to connect the public sphere of media and the public sphere of institutions with the public sphere that now has been articulated with social networking sites, we will be failing as a society in being able to have this dialogue that makes policy making so rich.